on social media. It's
Mm.
a lot of introspection. It's a
Mhm.
lot of self-compassion, self-forgiveness,
Mhm.
self-discipline, absolutely self-discipline.
Mhm.
And this is a process that takes time to be implemented in our lives. But the result of that is that you're then able um, to be your authentic self, your most
Mm.
authentic
Yeah.
self. You're
Yes.
no longer scared to show who you are. You no longer have the fear of rejection because you know who you are, and you know
Mm.
that you're showing up in the best way that you can for yourself. And since you're not rejecting yourself, it's very unlikely that people will reject you as well. So
Mm.
in that sense, whatever we are trying to put off and hide using the well, I wouldn't say stoic, I would say emotionless version of ourselves, when we
Mm.
leave that aside and we show up with all the emotions and vulnerability. I've been talking about vulnerability for a very long time now.
I know. I
And
know. The whole
yeah,
time, I think.
yeah. And I think that it's so relevant nowadays because
Mm.
so many people think that vulnerability is being weak, is being,
Mm.
okay, people are going to take advantage of me, whereas
Mm.
vulnerability is being authentic, purely
Mm.
authentic to yourself. And
Mhm.
this happens when you have emotional intelligence. When you have emotional intelligence, no one is able to take advantage of your emotions because you're aware of what's going on
Mhm.
inside of you. And although you're not able to control another person, you're able to control your reactions and know
Mm.
where to draw the line,
Mm.
where to lean back, where to step in. You're able to do the little dance that creates healthy relationships around you. And all that
Mm.
is very well facilitated through having that kind of emotional intelligence.
Mm.
And as I was saying, this is a very this hits me in a very personal place because I've been there, I've done that, and I believe that if I could do it, everyone is able to do it. It's hard, but it's so rewarding.
Mm.
And you know, I also believe that once you start to show up as who you are, you start being happy about yourself. People
Mhm.
will get attracted by the loving, happy person that you are. They get inspired by you. And this is how you pull into your life whatever you're seeking for. But that's a whole other topic for a whole other time.
Mm.
Um,
Mm.
but the idea of happiness, the idea of creating happiness is something that we've all um, adopted over the years. That okay, I need to find happiness. But when you develop
Mm.
that kind of emotional intelligence, you can find happiness in pain. You
Mm.
go for a breakup and it's painful as hell, but you're still able to find some happiness in it because you tell yourself, okay, I've had the chance to experience it. I've had the chance to know someone who made me feel this way.
Mm.
And okay, if that happened once, it can happen a second time, but in a better way, because you're able to figure out what was working, what was not working, and how to position yourself in a better way the next time.
Yeah.
So definitely,
Yeah.
the quest for happiness is definitely much influenced by our emotional intelligence.
True. True. I'm actually smiling a lot right now because I'm thinking of a joke in Zen about breakups. I don't
Yeah.
know whether it fits the context, whether it's going to make you laugh, but there's a joke which goes like, during a breakup, okay, when you feel the pain, you should be joyful. Okay, and why should you be joyful? It's because you're actually alive to feel the pain, and being alive is amazing. So you can be joyful for being alive and feeling the pain. I mean, it's a bit deep, it's a bit silly also as a joke, but it exists in the Zen world, meaning you could be actually be smiling in even the worst things you actually live. And to build on what you said about being vulnerable, about opening up, my interpretation of, let's say, love, I know it's called unconditional love now, but to me it's just love, is that when you actually love, I won't say someone, I'll say something. Okay, let's say someone, something, or any other entity, let's say, because you can have pets, you can have other things.
That's
You could be
exactly
in
what I
love
was
with your
thinking.
car also. Um, let's say when you love something, you actually accept the person or the thing completely, right?
Yeah,
So if the person opens up and you see the person in different moods, different aspects, it should not actually take you back, because I think people are afraid to open up because of the rejection that might exist from the other person. Maybe that side of me should not be shown. I think that's where the problem is. But if you open up and actually people go away, it's a good thing, because that person should not have been there anyway. So that person doesn't love you fully. So my advice to people actually is a bit unconventional. It would be to actually really open up and check who actually stays with you. That would be like a good experiment. Once again, I'm looking at it from a biological perspective. Uh, it will be a good experiment to actually see who stays around you. And these would be actually the people who are worth having in your life, I would say.
once more, Girish, your words have hit me in a very personal space, and this has been true in my experience too. Opening up only shows you who's genuine and who's actually there for you. And I
Mm.
think this is why you and I became such good friends. And I have to be honest about it. There have been many people in my life whom I've opened up to, and they felt like I was either like they feel so uncomfortable by the expression of appreciation that they think that you have a hidden agenda, you know, and then they start falling off from my life on their own. I didn't have
Mm.
to do much. I just had to show up as who I am, telling you exactly how I feel and what I see. And if you don't agree, if you don't align with my perspective, you'll just fall back on yourself. And I do not have to do much effort on my part. I'm not going to say that it did not hurt. It did. It hurt a lot. But I've also learned from that pain, you know. At some point in the journey, I became like the Zen joke that you say, that you're going through completely chaotic situation, but you're able to sit in it and smile. Um, well, I'm grateful that I've been able to do that at least once that I can remember in my life. And this is one of the moments when you realize, when I realized that, okay, I am able to process my emotions now. I am able to
Mm.
identify why I'm feeling sad, why I'm feeling rejected, how this happened, how next time I can handle it in a better way. But
Mm.
also, on the fun side of opening up, I've opened up to people, and those are the people who now play a great role in my life. You're one among
Mm.
them. There are many others who have completely loved the fact that I opened up, that I said, okay, hey, you person, you mean that much to me. And
Mm.
they've stuck around. And that's the beautiful thing about it. When you're vulnerable, you're able to show, you're able to shine your light very bright. And
Mm.
those who can't handle that light in their face are just going to cover their eyes and move out of your path, which is not a
Mm.
bad thing at all, because like you said, um, those who cannot handle it, those who are not able to accept you opening up in that way, are not the ones who should be around you anyway. And although it is heartbreaking, it is groundbreaking, although you feel like you're going to drown in your tears and your sorrow, um,
Mm.
at the end of the day, when you have emotional intelligence, you also build resilience.
Mm,
And when you build resilience, you're able to overcome so many of the
mm,
pain.
mm.
Yeah. Yeah.
True. And once again, if you look at it from an anarchist perspective, the theory is really very simple. It means that there should be no structure, and people who emit more or less the same characteristics end up creating links together. So from that point of view, the more you're being yourself, you kind of create a universe of your own with people who share more or less the same values. And these people who went away, they'll probably create another universe with people with the same values as them. So they won't be unhappy losing you, actually, even if you feel that it might be the case. They'll just be happy on their own. You will be happy on your own. So it's a win-win situation for everyone in that sense. And I think we should also talk about it from a very scientific perspective, also about how the brain processes it. So it's actually very important to feel the emotions, and that's why it's dangerous to actually repress them. For example, when you feel good emotions, your body creates the feel good chemicals, which tells you that these are the things you need to do. It's good for you. And when you experience certain emotions like anger, jealousy, the body creates harmful chemicals in itself, telling you that these are not the things you should do. So we've been kind of engineered in a way so that we can use our emotions to guide our actions. All right. And actually, right now, okay, I'm going to talk a bit about technology now. With the development of artificial intelligence, they are trying to engineer human consciousness. And one of the ways they're trying to create it since 2015, since we are able to make machines do deep learning. I know it's going a bit sci-fi, but I'm just drawing a parallel between these two. The way an artificial intelligence develops itself is that when it does good things, you actually have a reward system where you tell the machine, okay, you've done that good. Okay, you upvote it. And when the machine makes mistakes, you downvote it. And that's how the artificial intelligence learns. And it's very fundamental to us as human beings also recognizing these things. So when we do certain things we feel really good about, we need to know and tell ourselves, okay, these are the things to do. For example, when you're being very kind to someone, you feel something, right? You feel
Mhm.
good, and then that tells you that's the right thing to do. When you hurt someone, you don't feel good usually. Even for psychopaths, they're actually killing a part of themselves. And that's how you actually create your moral code, if I allow myself to say it. You don't need an organization, a book to tell you how to act in a moral way. We've been engineered as human beings to actually live in an ethical, moral way if we really understand our emotions well. And I think that's really fascinating, emotions in that sense. It, yeah, it is.
Yeah, I think so too. That's a very vast topic that, and there's so much to be said in that way. But I believe that artificial intelligence is also based on human intelligence and how we process things. And there's a moment where machines need to stop. That just reminded me of a poem I read in high school. It's called "The Machine Stops," and
Mm.
yeah, that just struck me. And oh, I just lost my train of thoughts about that poem. So yeah, so what I was trying to say is that um, you know, even machines have to, not even, but machines have to shut off and then be turned on again. And that's very
Mm,
important for us too, if we understand that the AI was created parallel to our human intelligence. At
mm,
some point, we also feel the need to shut down and not to feel
mm,
anything and not do anything. And I know a lot of people who go through this. And this is called overwhelm.
mm,
And it is very important. I feel that it's very important for me to say that. It's a very important phase when we go through our emotions because it can get overwhelming. It does get overwhelming. There are so many stimuli around us, so many triggers around us.
mm,
And
mm,
if you're not in touch with our emotions, if you're not able to discern what's causing what in us, we tend to get overwhelmed.
mm,
And very often people try to shut down. Shutting down is good in the sense that if you take a moment out for yourself just to breathe, that's fine. But
mm,
shutting down, like you were saying earlier, repressing your emotions,
mm,
that's that could potentially be dangerous. Now I'm going to dab on something that I love. It's called the unconsciousness by Jung,
mm,
by Carl Jung and Sigmund Freud. According to them, there's that part of our mind that's called the unconsciousness. This is where all our emotions, feelings, experiences, traumas are stored. And this is where the emotions that we don't really want to face, that we think is
mm,
ugly, unacceptable, um, that does not have its place in our human experience, is stored. And what happens is that in the moment that we are not aware, those emotions can catch us off guard and they come as impulses and make us act in ways that consciously in our good mind we would not act. And that could range from highly violent reactions to just being, to just throw a fit, start to scream and cry in the middle of nowhere. So this this is what happens when we have unprocessed emotions. And one common example that we can see is that we all know people who've been through this. It's highly relatable. So you know someone who is usually very calm and smiling, and
mm,
the normal person, and then you just say one thing to them, and
mm,
they explode. They either
mm,
cry or scream or have a very uh, unexpected reaction, and we tell ourselves, why did you act in that way? Why did she act in that way? All I said or did was just a joke. And what we fail to understand is that what that person himself, herself fails to understand is that there's been so much repressed emotions in himself, herself, that his mind can no longer contain it. And the
mm,
least trigger could actually push them off the emotional edge, could have a very intense reaction.
mm,
And this is why I believe that repressing our emotions is never a good thing. Wanting to switch off, yes, that's highly recommendable. Switch off for a few hours if you want. If you want to switch off just to be able to focus on a task at hand, you can. But then once you get the moment to reconnect and experience, process, and let go, you should give yourself the time and space to do that. It's primordial for our proper functioning as human beings.
mm. So true.
Yeah, and I
So
think that
true.
this is highly important in very stressful conditions. For people who have very stressful work conditions, all day
Mm,
long they have to put their emotions at bay to be able to be
mm,
productive. And then
mhm,
when they get back home, they have to deal with the kids, the spouse, the pets, the whatever activity that they have, but they
mm,
still keep their feelings at bay, and they don't have time to deal what's going on inside of them.
mm,
And what I usually recommend in my coaching or counseling practice is that you either take 15 minutes per day to sit down with yourself and process what's going on, or you take 1 hour each week just for self-maintenance, just to have an inner inventory.
Yeah.
And I think that as adults, we owe ourselves that kind of discipline, that kind of care, so that we don't, go into overwhelm, go into burnout.
Yes. Totally agree. And this comes also from, like we've been discussing, from understanding yourself, understanding what are your needs actually, and not denying your needs, which are linked to emotions.
Definitely.
Yeah, so true.
Definitely.
Yeah. Any last words you would like to say to end this beautiful talk?
There's so many things that I would love to say, but I think that I'm going to go with the most heartfelt one. It's thank you for giving me the chance to speak about it, and thank you for everyone who's listening to us. For me, and I know that for Geerish as well, if our words have touched at least one person, it makes our day. So thank you for that.
True. And we're also a bit selfish about it. I mean, we enjoy talking to each other and clarifying ideas, and yeah. So yes, it's always about affecting one person at a time. It could be someone in your own house, influencing that person positively, and it could be someone outside your house, someone at the workplace, and that's how you build positivity around you. It starts from you, and then it expands out. And I think, yeah, you're totally right.
Yeah, that's how you build connection.
Thank you.
Well.
Yeah.
Thank you, Geerish. It was a pleasure.
Thanks for coming. Yeah, it's always a pleasure. Yeah. So we'll probably meet another day when we have more questions from the audience.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Okay. See you very soon.
See you
yeah, I'm going to see you very soon anyway. Bye-bye.
Bye.